What's going on, Austin, Texas? Welcome to episode 100 of Confetti.
There's confetti falling from you just listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
It's really knocked up.
Of episode 100 of Talking Throws podcast, Texas style. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And we are throws coaches with the track club, the Throwing Factory. You can go to our the website, thethrowingfactory.com, and check out our bios. Remind everybody that we specialize in throwing, shot, disc, hammer, but also javelin and weight. If we don't fit your needs, we have other coaches at other locations. Coach Kai, west at Throw Factory, Coach Jarvis, east at the Throw Factory, and out in West Texas, Coach Morgan Knight, Night Performance, Night Power and Performance. Also to remind everybody that we have that shopping apparel on our website. So if you're looking for cool apparel, you can go purchase that. We have discounts on the site as well. Also too, you'll find a link for Lifting DFW on there. We're still selling those mobile fitness stations. And if you have an interest in that, you can just reach out to me about questions. Thank you to our sponsors for season 6, Texas Track and Field and Coach Association. That website is ttfca.org, ttfca.org. Mr. Stuart Cantor does everything for track and field in the state of Texas. If you're looking for current meets for 2024, rules, recruiting, anything like that, go check out the website. Also, our favorite implement company, fourthrows.com. Quality implements priced right. Go to fourthrows.com. Use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. Guys, discus cages, hammer gloves, wire, throwing shoes, javelin carriers, anything you need in the throwing aspect, go to fourthrows.com. The Hills take care of you. They're trustworthy. They're family owned. They're not in this to become billionaires. They do it because they love track and field. They want to supply the right implements to the right people. Porta-Circle, porta-circle.com, making throwing more accessible. You can use the code TalkingThrows10 to get that 10% off. Our favorite athletic development program guy, Ready Up Athletic Development, Mr. Zach Phillips. His cell phone is 512-507-8347. His website is readyupad.com. Guys, he's came out with a program called Train Heroic, and that is on the website. It's on the website Train Heroic. The program is called Basic Throw Strength. Go to the website Train Heroic, search Basic Throw Strength. If you use the code THROWS10, you're going to get 20% off that. Fiber Sports Discus. There we go. These things are. There you go. That's a new brand. So these things are coming off the shelf. And we're seeing good results from our high school and collegiate athletes. Remember, you can purchase your Fiber Sports Discus at fourthrows.com. Use that code TalkingThrows10 to get that 10% off. 1472, excuse me. Also remind everybody too about our YouTube channel. You can just go in there and search Talking Throws podcast. Be sure to subscribe to that. Give us a thumbs up. We're seeing a lot more views on that, and just thank you for all the support on the YouTube channel as well. Today's guest is currently working post-collegiately at the University of California at Berkeley. She has a post-collegiate best of 55.79 meters. Her second year was 61.51 meters. She is also a graduate at the University of Texas. She threw there from 2017 to 2021. She is the school record holder in the hammer, weight, and in the discus. She's 4th all time in the outdoor shot put. She is finished up at UT as a 2-time All-American. In 2016, her senior year, she represented the U.S. in the U20 championships in both the shot and the disc. Also in 2016, check this out, she also made the U.S. Olympic trials in disc. And in 2021, she also made the Olympic trials. She attended Valley Christian High School in San Jose, California. She has a high school PR in the shot put of 54.7, which is 5th all time. Her high school discus PR is 186.10, which is 4th all time. Please welcome to episode 100 from the University of Texas and University of California at Berkeley. Please welcome one of the greatest high school throwers in the U.S., Miss Elena Bruckner. How are you doing?
I am doing good. How about you guys? How's your week been?
So far, so good. It was only 108 here today, so... Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Do you miss
So
the Texas humidity?
It's so funny. When I moved to Texas, I loved the humidity because I think it was just different. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it feels like a hug. It's so great as long as you have good AC. I was like, this is great. But then as soon as I moved back to California, the first time I went back to visit Texas, I was like, how did I ever live in this?
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way.
Yeah. And why did I like it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for being on. You're going to be our 100th episode.
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome.
So we're in our 6th season, and this is our 100th episode. So
Yeah, we never thought we'd get past episode 1.
Oh my goodness.
Still be married.
that is true. Okay, we need some counseling. You always smile. Where does that happiness come from?
Joy.
Oh my gosh, it comes from Jesus. Honestly, that's all of it for me. And it's so funny because I ask myself the same thing all the time. I'm like, I smile a lot. I'm really happy, and no other explanation for it.
So you spent a couple years at University of Cal at Berkeley. What exactly are you doing there? You're training with Coach Mo. Are you helping with the throwers as well?
Yeah. So my first year with Mo out at UC Berkeley was last year.
Okay.
Pretty much after I finished my time at Texas, I knew I wanted to keep throwing. I didn't really know where I was going to do that. I was not given the opportunity to do it at Texas. But I had actually sort of connected with the coach at San Jose State and thought it was going to be a good fit. Just off of personality, I really liked her. She was a Christian. I was like, this seems like this could be a good fit. And then the same day that I called her to tell her, I want to come work with you, I want to be a volunteer assistant coach, their entire coaching staff got let go.
Oh no.
And so I remember I was in my apartment in Texas with everything packed up, ready to move out to California. And I got that news and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, God, what's going on? I thought this was figured out. But I was already planning on moving to California. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I know I'm moving to California. I was like, what other universities are around there? UC Berkeley is not necessarily close to where I was going. It's about an hour and a half away.
Okay.
But it was close enough. And I was just shot in the dark. I still had Coach Mo's phone number from recruitment in high school. I was like, hey, look, at that point I was like, my university didn't want to keep me. I don't know why you would, but I'm going to give it a shot. And he was like, give me a call. Let's do it. And right away he was so on board. And so that's sort of how I got connected.
Wow.
Wow.
Just because of that high school connection and all that. Amazing.
Yep.
So how do you like the coaching side of throws?
Yeah. So I think last year I was dipping my toe into that a little bit more. Honestly, volunteer assistant coach is very much just a flashy title for me, so that I can train with everybody there. But last year I was living south of Berkeley, down in Morgan Hill, which is south of San Jose. So that's, okay. I was not working. I had a little bit, side gigs here and there, but I was just training and commuting every day. And I would just hang out at the track all day. I'd get there around noon. I'd do my practice and I'd just be at the track until we lifted at 5 p.m. So that was cool to be around. And I know we had one girl who, she was gliding in the shot put and Mo was like, Elena, this one's yours. And I was like, let's go. Cause oh my gosh, I was always a glider. So, any chance that I get to sort of, give advice and give perspective and stuff, I love to do that because I was in their shoes too. But I think last year too, it was super interesting because I was starting from square one. I was like, I don't know jack squat. So if Mo's telling me to teach you something, I'm like, okay, but bear with me here. So that was last year. It was definitely great hanging out with everyone. And then this year I actually have a full-time job. And I'm living up in Berkeley, in Oakland, but I have a full-time job. So I am definitely working with the team in a much smaller capacity this year. It's definitely more just training.
Gotcha. So how's the training going? I think you threw 195, and are you getting ready to go to US championships?
Yes. Yeah. So this year, my furthest mark, I threw a big PR. I threw 61.51 at Mount Sac, which was awesome because I didn't even originally, like, this whole season has been, I shouldn't be here, but somehow I am, and I'm going to make the most of it. So Mount Sac was like the first meet where they were like, oh, you're not good enough for the elite section, and we're not allowing post-collegiates in the collegiate division this year. So you're not going to get in. And then like the week of, they're like, hey, just kidding, we'll get you in. And I was like, okay, and went and ended up getting third place. So it just like, it worked out really well. But that was my personal best this year, and then thrown 60 meters a couple of other times. And so thankfully I'm in a really good position going into USAs, and I'm super stoked about it because last year I didn't even qualify. So to go from not making it last year to this year being in like a really good, confident position, I'm so excited.
Wow. Has there been a lot of technical changes that you've made coming from Texas to working with Coach Mo?
Oh, definitely. I mean, so also just context at Texas, I had two different coaches. I signed with Coach Ty Saban, who was the coach at the time, and he was there for my first 2 years, and then transitioned to working with Coach Sion. And so I think just that transition from working with Sion to now working with Coach Mo, a lot of that first year, last year, was just like breaking it down, getting rid of everything. Okay. Because whatever I worked on at Texas, it just like wasn't really clicking for me. And I think that Mo was able to see that because he knew me in high school. So obviously something was going well for me in high school if I was able to be so successful.
Yeah.
And to sort of unfortunately see me go into college and not do so hot. Mo was like, look, and this is why Mo wanted to still work with me, because he saw the potential I had, how it wasn't fulfilled. And he's like, I think we can get back to that. So a lot of last year was just getting rid of stuff, not really learning new technique, just so that I could get back to that core of what, made me good in high school. Yeah. And then saying, okay, let's start fresh. This year, this past fall was a lot of that building technique back up.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm guessing the goal is the trials and make the US Olympic team.
Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing. That has always been the goal. When I was a kid, when people ask little kids, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And people say like firefighter or a teacher, like I would say, I want to be an Olympian. That is what I told people when I was a kid. And I never knew what sport it was. And so I did every sport growing up.
Yeah. Was it going to be throwing when you said it then, or were you just
no, I didn't even know what throwing was.
Yeah, water basket weaving, whatever, right?
I was literally like, I was like, it doesn't matter what sport, I'm going to be an Olympian. And so like, obviously to be at this point now, obviously track is the thing. And so, yeah, I mean, if I could do that, that would be crazy. Like that would be so cool.
Are you still, now I have to ask this because your shot put numbers in high school were off the chart. So no shot put, you're just focusing on discus.
Nope, that is correct. I do some like special strength shot put stuff, but it's stand throws, nothing more than that. Yeah, I think going out of college, I PR'd a lot more in shot put in college. And when I graduated, I was sitting a lot better on the US list, or maybe not the US list, but the world list in shot put. Yeah. But I knew discus, I just had never figured it out. And so I was like, there's a lot more potential here. Also, US women's shot put is stacked. Yeah. So I was happy to take the road of less hurdles to go towards discus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
well, also too, you're. I have to say, and people that don't know, you're a lefty as well.
Yes.
Which in the discus world is maybe some people view as an oddity, but some people like, oh, no big deal. So there's been barriers for you just because you're left-handed.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that's super interesting. I hadn't thought about that like as plain as that like in shot put, the only real difference is you're throwing with a different hand.
Yeah.
In discus, it definitely is pretty clear some of the disadvantages you get. But I mean, I love some adversity. I love like being an underdog, and I also love being special. So being the lefty out there is always a hoot.
Awesome. Great answer. Great answer. So as previously stated, you spent 4 years at University of Texas.
Mhm.
Okay. You had a tremendous career there. You were 2 times All-American. I want to go back a little bit further to your freshman year, because your freshman year, you broke the school record in the hammer, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we want to know about that. And then I think your first year on campus, you broke the discus record as well.
Mm-hmm.
How was that transition your freshman year to break 2 records?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think coming into Texas, when I was actually going through the recruiting process, I was looking at the schools and their school records, because that sort of told me a little bit about the history and who came out of that school. So obviously looking at the shot put records, you see Michelle Carter, like big deal, big aspiration there. But I was always really surprised with the discus school record. When I came in, the discus school record was the longest standing female school record at Texas. And I had already thrown further than it. So that was my goal that first year, was like, of course I was like, obviously I want a PR and throw super far. But I was like, my goal actually was to break that discus record. I think my goal was like in the first meet, and I didn't do it in the first meet, but I if I'm remembering correctly, I believe I did it at Texas Relays my freshman year.
Wow.
And so that was one that I definitely had my sights set on. The hammer one, I can't remember if it was my freshman year or my sophomore year, but that one, I actually, crazy story. It was again at Texas Relays when I broke it. And I came in the first flight of Texas Relays, and there were 3 flights.
Oh,
so
wow.
I came in the first flight as like the person that just squeaked their way into the meet,
Yeah.
because I was the Texas girl.
Yeah.
I threw really well, and I had a test to go take. And because it's on campus and it was during the week, I was like, I have to go take this. I don't know, feel like it was like a marketing exam. I'm like, I got to go take this test. But I threw well. So I'm like, I'm just going to run and take this test and see what happens. So I sprinted across campus, went and took my test. I was the first one done, handed it to the teacher, sprinted back to campus as my coach is calling me saying, hey, you made finals. Went back, threw in the finals. I fell on my butt. Like none of my marks in the finals counted for anything. But I then found out later that day that I got an A on the exam as well.
Wow.
And so I remember I made like the papers for being like student athlete. And that's always such a fun story too, that I was able to get the record. I made the finals and I aced my test.
An A on your test.
Yeah. So do you ever, I have to ask this, do you ever pull out the hammer and show Cameron Rogers what's up with your technique?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I joke about it. Yeah, we have a Lithuanian hammer thrower, Agna. She's throwing post collegiately with Mo as well.
Oh, okay.
And of course, Lithuanian discus is in her blood. So she'll pick up the disc and toss it around a couple times just to embarrass me. And so that's usually when I'll pull out, oh, just you watch out. I'm going to pick up that hammer again one day.
So did you have hammer training before in high school before you came on campus?
No, I think I touched it one time in high school, and it was just my coach had a friend who was coaching some hammer throwers, and so we went out just for fun, just to touch it. But yeah, definitely did not throw before coming to college.
Wow. So in that meet, did you 2-turn or 3-turn, or do you remember?
I think I was 3-turning. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I definitely did more than 2 turns.
Oh, wow.
Did you throw a hammer throughout your whole year, all 4 years at Texas, or did you just that freshman year?
I threw it so I was injured a lot So I didn't throw it a lot because of that, but I technically was supposed to be throwing hammer all 4 years, but I didn't. My 4th year was COVID, so obviously didn't throw hammer. And then my last year, we were not going to do the hammer, but we had a dual meet against Texas A&M. And so I was like, I'm going to throw the hammer at this. You know, you got shot putters throwing the javelin, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to throw the hammer. And I threw well enough that I was seated in the top 8 for Big 12s. And so I asked our coaches, I was like, can I please throw it? And so they let me then go throw it at Big 12s. And I ended up getting a medal.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
So how was it coming from California, being a San Jose girl, coming to Austin, you know, different type of atmosphere in Austin, campus is huge, big down, you know, that big city center of Texas and stuff. And then, you know, you're a student athlete at, you know, all the stuff going on. How was that adjustment that first year?
Yeah. I mean, when I visited Texas the first time, I had never even been to the state of Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the only reason I went out there was because of the history of Texas track and field. That's why I decided to go on a visit. And when I first stepped foot in Austin, I was sold on the city. Like that is what got me to commit to UT was the city and the people. Like I felt immediately at home. You know, and Austin was a little bit away from home, which I did want, but it wasn't all the way across the country. It was an easy nonstop flight. So that was attractive as well. But yeah, I fell in love with Austin. And so I think I loved that you were right in the city, but it also was small enough that it felt like you could conquer it. Like you could know your way around. You could walk through city and stuff. And so I really loved Austin, and that's what got me there. So I was really happy once I was there.
Who was the head coach at the University of Texas at the time?
That was Mario Satania.
Oh, so Mario was the head coach. And who was the throws coach? You said it earlier.
Ty Saban.
Ty.
Yep. And he was one of the throws coaches that did throws and pole vault.
That's right. Okay. Okay. What was your impression of him during that recruiting process? Did you know, because was he going to kind of just continue the process coming out of your senior year because you're coming off going to the U20 championships of the world and just kind of continuing that path of growth? What was his mindset? You're coming in your freshman year.
Yeah, so Ty was definitely more hands off.
Okay.
He was very hands off as a coach. Super chill. I mean, I think that was just sort of his demeanor.
Gotcha.
He was an awesome person, but unfortunately it sort of stressed me out not having a coach be like super like involved. And so that was like a little bit tricky to sort of like figure out how it would work. Also, unfortunately, our head coach during my sophomore year took let's say a leave of absence. And so Ty sort of ended up coaching half of the track team.
Oh, wow.
And so he had to step away from a lot of coaching in the throws. So we sort of, as a throws group, were left kind of coaching each other a lot. And so I think that was, and then on top of that, I wasn't PRing. I wasn't getting all that much better. And he didn't seem that concerned about it. And that sort of like stressed me out too. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if I'm not freaking out, that means you shouldn't freak out. And I'm like, no, I'm concerned that you're not freaking out. And I didn't really know how to like balance and manage that and stuff. So yeah, it was a little tricky.
Gotcha. Who was some of the members of that squad at the time that y'all were kind of relying on?
Yeah, so we had some really great javelin throwers. One of them, Haley Krauser.
Okay.
She was still at Texas when I was there, and she was an awesome teammate to have. And then we had a pretty good hammer thrower who was like finishing up his time there. His name was Alan. I'm totally spacing on his last name, unfortunately. But then my sophomore year was when Trip Pippery came in.
Oh, so Trip came in your sophomore. Okay, nice.
But it was always a really small group.
Yeah. And for the listeners, did you meet Trip because Tripp was on that U World 20 team as well.
Yes.
Was that
So
your first time meeting Tripp?
my first time meeting Tripp was actually at the 2016 Olympic trials, because I was competing and I saw him watching up in the stands, and I knew that he had already committed to Texas. So I was like, oh, I have to go introduce myself. And we were going to be on the U20 team together. So yeah, that's really when we first got to know each other.
Oh, nice. No. So you go through the coaching and all that type stuff. And then I believe Zeb comes in during the summer before your junior year. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. How was that transition? And now you got someone who's going to give you a lot of attention.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Polar opposites. Yeah. So it was obviously really scary to be told that, your whole coaching staff is being let go. But I think it was really the right decision for the program. And I chose Texas because of Texas. I did not choose Texas because of the coaching staff. And I wanted to make sure I did that when I chose a school. I wanted to make sure, because I knew coaching can change. I knew you can get a career-ending injury. And so I wanted to make sure I chose a school that I was going to be happy with no matter what happens with the sport. And so that change happened. Honestly, that was probably the hardest part of my college experience, was that first fall though, because there was so much change. And there was, unfortunately, it didn't really feel like there was a transition plan in place. It was very much like a rip and replace. And they came in with a force and they said, get on board or choose a new school. And that was really, really, really difficult for me. Took me a long time to sort of, get on board. And once I did. But I think, unfortunately, that lack of building trust up front, sort of subconsciously continued to impact me for my next 3 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, looking at your numbers during your junior year, even that transition, you started to ramp them up a little bit, right?
Yeah. That is the year that I PR'd in discus.
Yes, and Berkeley scored. Well, also too, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a little bit of rotational shot put experiment.
Yep. Yeah. So
how did that come about?
I actually started, oh my gosh, there's so much there's a long college experience. So I started the spin, the rotational shot put. I started my sophomore year actually with Ty.
Okay.
Yes. And that was when I first threw 55 feet. So I actually did PR and throw 55 feet my sophomore year indoors in the rotational. But again, it was with a sort of hands-off in and out coach situation. So it wasn't a super solid foundation. Yeah, go for it.
So was it your idea to make this switch, or was it Ty's kind of switch to?
I think it was Ty's.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I don't think it was me. I think I was on board for it. I think also I was seeing all of these other girls that I threw with in high school throwing really far, and I was not. And I was like, screw it. Let's do something else because I want to throw far too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through that transition from being a phenomenal glider in high school to maybe some technical changes your first couple of years to rotation. Did you just kind of start from scratch? Because some people wouldn't maybe jump to that with the success that you've had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think even when I was in high school, I had a lot of people talking in my ear telling me, oh, you're really good, but you'd be so good if you spinned.
Really?
Yeah. But I think it's because I'm a little bit smaller and I'm really fast. Like if you saw me throw the discus in high school, I was like the Tasmanian devil. I was like a bat out of hell going crazy. Like, yeah. So I think
can I share some? I do that. Yeah. I've seen videos.
He's probably
I've stalked you. Yeah, I've stalked you. So I've kept up. Well, you damn, you threw so far so early at that early age, and you're like, how in the hell? And from a science point, you're like, what is she doing? So, what is she doing? Yeah.
The secret is I didn't even know. I didn't know what I was doing. Otherwise, I probably would have thrown a little bit further in college. But
well, and I don't want to talk technique, but I was going to bring this up your freshman year, but you went from kind of a kit glider in high school that was really, really fast with a dominant right leg for you with a big butt drop. And I believe that you went from rotation, but then Zeb switched you back and you were more of a double support in the back glide for a little while.
Yeah.
And you didn't have that butt drop then. And that was more of a push type approach, push glide.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of different adjustments.
Yeah. And I think too, like the funny thing is the whole reason we switched me back to the glide was because I was continually getting injured. I was continually getting injured. And there was something in my rotational technique, whether it be in the discus or in the shot put, there was something in my technique that I was doing wrong. And I was doing it wrong over and over and over and over again. So the injuries I was getting was like stress fractures in my right lower leg and in my right ankle.
Wow.
So there was something going on there where when I was trying to come back from my injury, the rotational shot put was not sitting well with me. And Coach Sion had said, look, this might sound crazy because he was not a big fan of the glide, but we had another shot putter that he tried to teach rotational. It wasn't clicking for her and he moved her back to the glide. She's thrown 18 meters now. So clearly it worked for her, but she had switched back and I started getting a little jealous. And so he kind of was like, you know what, maybe we could do this with you too. And he sat me down after a meet at Arkansas where I did horrible. And of course I was in tears and he's like, this might sound crazy, but what would you think if we switched you back? He was like, his exact words to me were like, if you went in through the glide right now, how far do you think you could throw? And I told him a heck of a lot further than I just threw now. And so on Monday, we started the glide. This was towards the end of the indoor season, 2020. Yep. I had one meet with the glide and then I had Big 12s with the glide and I went and PR'd and made nationals at Big 12s and won Big 12s with the glide.
Yeah.
It was like a 2-week transition after not throwing the glide for 2 years. It was like 2 weeks of me back in the glide, PR'd, made nationals, all that. And I think a lot of that is just because I'm a very feeling-based thrower and the glide is very much about that momentum and feeling. And you have to understand how that feeling propels the shot. And I was just so much stronger. And so it all just kind of went into it and it worked well for me. Wow. And then we started adding in some technique that bonus COVID year.
Yes. Yeah. And getting back to your lifting and stuff, like what kind of lifting? Are you strong in the weight room? Or were you big in nutrition as a collegiate? And the reason I ask is we talk to a lot of high school kids who are, as their pre-meal snack is some Cheez-Its and a couple of gummy worms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, when I was in college, like obviously being at the University of Texas, I had everything available to me.
Yeah.
I had the nutritionist. We had the sports psych. We had 3 trainers that were specifically for track. We had like the dining hall. We had everything. So it was pretty easy to make good choices nutritionally. I think like I definitely like fluctuated in weight. I think towards the end of my time, my last year at Texas, actually, my 5th year, I weighed the same amount as I weighed when I came into college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think I lost a lot of weight during COVID because I wasn't training. And so I wasn't hungry and I wasn't eating as much. And I felt awesome that last year. I felt super lean. I'm glad I got to throw the shot put far. Discus felt good. It didn't go very good, but it felt good. But yeah, there was also a lot of transition in weights because I was relatively strong and then I got injured, and coming back from those injuries, I did a lot of yoga as my like rehab transition. And I think through that yoga, I got so flexible that once I came back to the weight room and I was doing squats, I was like booty to the ground.
Yeah.
My depth was insane, but I wasn't lifting as heavy. And I've never really been able to get back to the weight that I was like squatting my sophomore or junior year of college, but my power went up.
Oh, wow.
And so that was definitely like interesting for me to see how my lifting completely changed after those injuries.
Wow.
But my bench press is like best it's ever been now. So that keeps going up.
That is awesome. So and now I'll ask this again, but during the high school part of it, did you get a good introduction to lifting and nutrition when you were in high school? No.
No. I got a little bit of introduction to like nutrition just through my mom. My mom actually does Ironmans. And so, yes. And so she like has gone on her own nutrition journeys and had nutritionists over time. And so just sort of tangentially, I've like gotten on that kick with her. But in terms of lifting, I mean, we had a great strength coach in high school, but I was doing competitive volleyball up until my last day of high school. I mean, I was doing club volleyball every year except my senior year. My senior year, I still did high school volleyball, but I didn't do club volleyball because obviously it's during the track season. And so I did not do a ton of heavy weightlifting in high school because I needed to make sure I was a hitter. I was a 5'6" hitter and I needed to make sure I could still get off the ground. So
for sure. All right, getting back to the thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Were you gonna go before you go to high school? I had some
No. I had a couple more. See, we argue. This is the reason. See,
we don't argue. I just usually ask all
the sentiment. Here goes a sentimental question.
I love it.
I asked some of the non-throwing questions.
Yeah.
Right. I'm here
What was
for
your
it.
major in college, and how did you handle the student athlete at Texas? That's a lot. That's a big load. Because being an athlete is a full-time job, and then taking all the hours and all that.
She just said she competed, ran across, took the test, and then came back. Then that's what she did.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it was a lot of running. It was a lot of running around. I will tell you that. But when I first came into college, I was undeclared, didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I did really good in math in high school. So there was a semester where I was like, I'm going to be a math major in college. Immediately get a C- in my first math class. And I say, just kidding. Let's figure it out. Let's think about it again. So then I was like, oh, wait, I want to do kinesiology. I want to do like sports science stuff. And then by the time they switched me into that major, I already decided that I wanted to go into something different. I wanted to do business, but Texas has an amazing business school. So I ended up settling with economics. And that was my major. I graduated in economics major. I got like a minor sort of thing in entrepreneurship. So a little bit of that business side to it. And that's how I ended up. So it all worked out.
Is that what your job is now? You said you have a full-time job. Okay, no.
No. But
career, but
yeah, but I mean, I specifically wanted to do like a business focused thing. And I was okay with doing econ because I knew any job I'm looking for, if I'm a good fit for the job, they're not going to look and see, oh, she's an econ major, not a business major. Nobody's going to say that. They're close enough. Like at a certain point, a degree is a degree. And econ was close enough to business that it wasn't going to hold me back from anything. And then my job now, I actually work at a legal technology company in sales. So it doesn't matter what major you sort of have, you all end up where you end up.
Yeah. For you. And business major is great to have for any.
Oh, totally.
General, whether you want to own your own business, work in business, it's a great major.
100%.
Gotcha.
So, that's all my college questions. So about how you functioned in college. Well, but how many hours a semester did you take as an athlete? That's
most of the time I took 12. Which is like the minimum.
Right.
But the language I took was ASL, sign language. And those classes were, a lot of times they were a 6-hour class. And so it was a lot easier. It was just a longer time period. You had to be in the class, but it was the same amount of workload. And so a lot of times when I was taking my sign language classes, I'd throw in another class, do maybe 15, 16 hours a semester.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
So you're the
back to throwing.
you're the school record holding the hammer, the weight throw, and the discus at University of Texas.
Yes.
Which one are you the most proud of?
I think maybe I almost want to say the weight throw.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to remember. I mean, I got it in my last meet throwing the weight. No, I didn't. It was my second to last meet. Never mind. It was my second to last meet throwing the weight. But when I got it, it was my junior year. Yes. And when I got it, it was at Big 12. And it was just an awesome meet. I was just on it. I was clicking. I was PRing. And I ended up taking second place at Big 12s in the weight throw. So that was just like a hoot. It was fun. And it was like a good distance, you know, I felt really happy with that. And it was really cool to do it at like a big meet like that as well.
So was it the Tasmanian devil, just go fast and grip and
Pretty
rip?
Pretty much. Yep. Hope it lands in the sector.
For sure. So so you broke the discus record yourself twice, right? Or 3 times? Your freshman year, then one other time?
I don't know how many times. I think because it was less than my PR, it's a little bit trickier for me to know how many times I broke it. But I broke it a handful of times. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't know exactly. But then also too, you're 4th all time in the shot put for outdoor.
Yep.
Yep. And then you know, then also too, that 2 times All-American as well. What does that mean to you and your legacy that, you know, you finished out at the University of Texas?
Hi, my name is Meredith McGee, and my father is the founder of Porta Circle. We created Porta Circle in order to make throwing more accessible so that you can truly train anywhere. Growing up in Rochester, weather was often a roadblock toward training, and having the Porta Circle was a lifesaver for both the indoor and outdoor season. Circles start at $149 and go to our website to learn more. www.porta-circle.com. Porta Circle, making training convenient.
I mean, honestly, I think I wish it meant a little bit more. I think coming into college, I had such high hopes for myself. I expected to have a lot more All-American honors. I really expected the world from myself, and I did not live up to those expectations that me or other people put upon myself. And then even the school records that I have at Texas aren't that great. Like they're good, but I've already had, you know, just the program at Texas is so hot right now. And so I've already had people throwing further than me in the shot put. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the discus, I'd be sad if the discus one gets taken over soon, but I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I think I left it pretty open for another good girl to go in there. And then we have some girls that have, well, a girl who's gotten close in the weight throw this past year as well, that I wouldn't be surprised if she goes above and beyond that. So, you know, I think it's just a good reminder that like, even if you leave with every single record in the record book, like that is not the most important thing. You know, it's all temporary. It's all going to fall away at some point. You know, either somebody's going to go up and break it, or it's going to be so long that nobody knows who you are, even if your name's up on that board. So I think, you know, it is a little bit disappointing. I would have loved to have left a bigger legacy, but I think the legacy that I left was more in, I mean, hopefully it was more in who I was as a leader and who I was as a teammate.
Wow. Well, I beg to differ, because that is pretty damn impressive to be a school, because I talked to a lot of people, and we've had a lot of people on this show, and I don't think we've had anybody that was a school record holder in 3 events.
No.
You know, and that says to your talent and your capability.
University, like the
University of Texas, because we've had some great female throwers from University of Texas on this show, and they didn't have the records and accolades that you have as well. And to back it up, to be 4th all time in outdoor shot put is, I would have to say, all in all, for all 5 implements, I would have to say you might be the best female thrower to ever come out of University of Texas.
That's what I would hope. Yes,
Yeah.
I know there's no school record for that, but that was definitely something that I would love to be, is the girl who was the best thrower.
Yes.
If you put them all together. So thank you. That's very, very kind of you to point that out.
Well, that goes to show you that you're open-minded, that you're a great athlete, because, and some people were just, oh, I'm a discus thrower, because some people get fixated on discus, and I'm not going to touch the other stuff, and some of that type stuff. And, just to what you did coming out of high school to University of Texas, there were some up and downs, but I would encourage you to just hold your head up high and just say, in my perspective, by far, you're the best thrower, female wise, to ever come out of University of Texas. And
thank you so much.
Because you competed your butt off, and every time you stepped into that ring,
Yup,
you did. And it was fascinating because, you are 5'6", and you're not the big, gigantic, 6'1" girl that you were throwing against sometimes, and you're out there just dropping bombs against them. So for sure.
I have always loved being so I have 3 sisters, and all 3 of them are way taller than me. They're all tall string beans, and I am like the short bulldog of the family. So it's kind of funny that I'm the professional athlete. But I have always, since high school, I have loved going into a competition and seeing that I'm the the shortest or the smallest one, because it felt like it gave me this little edge up. Because in high school, I was like, people knew, oh, Elena Bruckner is here with this mark, but they would never think it was me until I actually started throwing. And then they go, what? So I love, even now being a discus thrower, I get that sort of height disadvantage. And so I don't feel like I'm short, but then I look at the pictures of me in competitions and I'm like, girl. So it's fun.
I'm gonna call Nike. We're gonna get you some throwing shoes with heels on them or something.
Oh my gosh.
For sure. Well, I want to back up to that summer before you entered the University of Texas. Olympic trials, right? And then also the U20.
Yep.
Right. And that's coming off a senior year where you threw in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 22 high school meets.
It hurts just to hear that, my body.
Have you ever counted that? You threw in, like, I was looking this up and I was like, holy shit.
Well, we used to do, I don't know if across the US this happens still, but we had dual meets. Our high school conference, we had to do a dual meet with every single school. So my typical high school competition schedule would be Wednesday, I'd have a dual meet, and Saturday, I'd have an invitational.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Texas, we have way.
Wow. So that little dual meet was kind of being an official meet, but it was kind of like a practice build up as well to the invitation.
Exactly. Yeah. I think
didn't know that.
Yep. It was great. I mean, it kept me busy. It kept me busy, but I got all the opportunities to compete.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So your U20, you go in the prelims and you get third. You kind of had to feel confident of yourself. You threw almost 50 feet, 11 inches. So I'm looking at it on Athletic.net. That's the reason I know the stats. And she's like, did I really know that?
He's cheating.
I'm cheating. But you're throwing against some big name girls in this meet as well. What was that experience like? Was this your first time going out of the country as well?
Yep. So this was that last summer after my senior year going into college was actually my first summer even doing any track over the summer.
Oh.
Because I was always a club volleyball girl, and that went into the summer. And also, unfortunately, there's not really many club opportunities for throwers. I think there's more and more, there's track clubs that are throw specific, and you guys are providing awesome opportunities for kids to compete outside of just high school. But for me in California, there was none of that. And so I would still sometimes throw over the summer, but it would be like at an all-comers meet that was just casually hosted on a Thursday night, and so I didn't even know about, New Balance. I didn't even know about U20s. I didn't know about that. I heard people talk about JOs. I was like, I'm like, Junior Olympics, that sounds like somewhere I want to be, but I didn't know about it. So I didn't do any of that until my last year. I sat down, I did my research. I said, what meets are these other girls going to? Because I want to be there and compete with them. And I got myself set up to do, I did New Balance indoors my senior year. And then I did US U20s, and then obviously Olympic trials and stuff. But that was my first summer doing any sort of real summer track.
Wow. So it had to be great pressure being a high school athlete competing in the Olympics.
Oh my gosh. So that was actually when I felt the least amount of pressure, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still one of my favorite track memories, but like sort of leading up to the Olympics, this is like a fun story too. The New Year's before, going from 2015 to 2016, Miles Split tweeted something saying like, hey, track athletes, post your goals for the year. What's your New Year's resolution? And I tweeted at Miles Split and I said, I want to make the Olympic trials. And this was me in high school, and nobody, I still threw far my junior year, but a lot of people straight up said that I was a fluke and that my 180 that I threw my junior year was an accident. And that it was just, luck. And so nobody was expecting that out of me, but I put it, electronically, pen to paper. I said, I want to go to the Olympic trials. And I worked my butt off. I did not hit the auto qualifier. I missed it by like 1 centimeter, but I lucked out and I got that 16th. I was the one person to make it in. I was the last, or maybe it's 24 people make it for Olympic trials. I was the last person to make it in. And because of that, I did not know that I was for sure in until the week of. Like I planned for it. So I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, my senior gift, you and I are going to go to Eugene. We're either going to go as me as a competitor or we're going to go as spectators, but we're going. And so we had everything set up. And then a couple of days before, I got the official good to go, you're in, so that I could go compete. And so again, I'm kind of realizing this theme. I always wiggle my way into meets, and those are when I do my best. And I still remember when I walked out on that track for the Olympic trials, the first thing I did, I ran across and I went over to my coach and I said, this is where I'm meant to be. Like just the awe and like the gratefulness that you are to be there. Like I had never even been a spectator at something like that.
Oh, wow.
Competing and just like, I'm like, I'm a nobody and I get to be here throwing again. And like, I was just like, I was so grateful. And like that attitude, I ended up throwing well. Like I finished a lot higher than I came in. I didn't make the final, but like I was the only high schooler in the throws competing that year. Wow. And so, so I felt no pressure and I thrived at that meet.
Yeah. And I want to spread like some of your competitors in that meet was Valerie Allman.
Yep.
I think Maggie Ewing.
Yeah, probably.
And then Stephanie Brown, I believe, as
well.
Yep,
she was still throwing.
Yeah, she was still throwing as well. So that was like the who's who of
and
US
Shelby Vaughn.
And who?
Shelby Vaughn.
Oh, and Shelby. And Shelby.
Yep. Shelby on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember. Oh my goodness. I thought she was the coolest thing ever. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm throwing against Shelby Vaughn. It's crazy.
Unbelievable experience for sure. For sure. That had to give you the confidence going into your freshman year.
Oh, totally. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely like an internal confidence because I think as you guys probably know, I mean, throws are starting to get more attention, but throws are definitely like the often forgot about track and field event. And so even when I was on like the U20 team, there were 2 or 3 other people that had committed to Texas that were on that US team with me. Yeah. And one of them couldn't remember my name, let alone that I was going to the same school as her the next year.
Oh, wow.
And so going to U20s, like even coming in the next year, everybody knew who they were. They knew who the other sprinters were. And I was just somebody that if they cared to listen, was really good too. But so it was something that I was like, wow, that's cool that I got to do that. But it definitely wasn't like a big to do.
For sure. So, okay, we got rid of the summer. 2 marks for you, 54.7.
Yep.
Okay. And then 186.10.
Yes.
186.
Okay. And they're still ranked, I think, still 4th and 5th all time in high school. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Awesome.
So, yeah. The discus might have dropped.
I think I'm one down.
Yeah, because Emma did it. Yeah, did it this year. So, number one, wow. like how can a 5-6-year-old girl, 5-6 young lady, very athletic,
didn't lift weights,
didn't watch what she eat, throw that far
in high school
with a kick glide in a big butt drop?
Man, y'all tell me. I was just having the time of my life. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. In the discus, like I said, I was the Tasmanian devil. I thought the faster I went, the further I'd throw. I was really inconsistent. It was not a great approach. But it worked for me. And I mean, it's cool too to know that I'm left-handed because those are marks I threw. Those were not wind-aided discus marks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all my best throws in the discus were laser beam line drives. Like they were not pretty up high. They were very much like, phew. And so there was something about that power that I had behind them that if I just hit it right, it really went. And then in the shot put, I think the biggest technical thing that I learned from my coach in high school was how to do a reverse and how to do a good reverse. And I think that's why the glide worked so well for me and continued to work well for me when I picked it back up in college, is because one thing I know how to do is to do a reverse. And that's something I could never figure out in the rotational.
Really?
I could never figure out how to get that same drive and reverse and pop at the end. But in the glide, I've got that. And so that was really, it wasn't much about how I got to the front. It was just, can I get to the front and reverse the shit out of that shot put?
Wow. So was there a certain, educate us, was there a certain cue that you had to create that reverse that he instilled in you? What were you thinking to hit the reverse?
Yeah, I mean, part of it was like when I first started, it was like this TikTok idea. So the idea of going from one foot to the other, like that was a huge thing, like to sort of make it make sense in my head. And then once I figured out how to use the toe board, I love, the feeling. And I don't know how much of it is out there on the internet of my throws in high school, but I had some insane saves in the shot put.
Really?
Oh yeah, because I attacked that toe board. I like the feeling of attacking that toe board on the reverse is just the best. And I still think it's the best feeling. And so like not being afraid of it, not being afraid to foul and like pushing yourself. I think that's something too, that like even throwers in college, I see a lot of people have a lot of great potential, but they're too scared to be uncomfortable in practice. And if you don't push yourself in practice, you're not going to push yourself in a meet. A meet is not the time to like try to go beyond what you've done before. Gotcha. Like you gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable in practice. And so that's something that I was, I feel like I've heard that before.
He says that all the time for the kids. We actually had a conversation there. They're like, Coach Hayes tells us all the time to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you're dead right. Because, kids are so conservative with the fear of failure, and failure has been identified as falling.
Yeah.
In front of that, and they just don't attack. And that's the reason I asked that question, is I have some girls that are very high level throwers, but they're not getting that big mark because it's that they don't throw that big reverse. They're just that hesitate to get on top of that toe board and push out over it. And that's the reason I asked that question, is I was curious to know what you were going to say, because there's that fear of failure, which is due to I'm going to fall. And if they don't realize that's part of it. So.
I mean, you got to throw yourself out over, like throw your body out over that toe board hundreds of times in practice so you can know what it feels like and then what it feels like to hold that. You can gain confidence in that,
Great point. No, so as far as you mentioned your coach earlier, Who was your biggest influence as a high school thrower? Was it this coach? What was his name? And did you have him all 4 years or her?
Yeah. So I lucked out with my high school coach. He was a football coach, but he did throw. I can't remember if he threw. I think he threw a little bit in college. He was more football in college, but he might have thrown a little bit too. He was awesome. His name was Coach Roll, and he was a great foundation for me. And then my sophomore year of high school, we got a new strength coach whose dad was an Olympic shot putter. And that shot putter was Greg Tafralis.
Oh.
So by association, his first year there, I didn't get to work with him, but my junior and senior year, I worked with Coach Roll at Valley Christian, but I was doing double duty, and I was also training with Greg after. So I would do sort of like a double practice. And Greg taught me everything. Like it's so funny because I think back and I can't think of any real tech. I mean, he taught me sort of some reversing stuff, but I can't think of any major technical cues he taught me. What Greg taught me was how to like see your potential, accept it, how to go after it. He taught me how to be a bulldog. Like he taught me how to chase after it. And I think I connected with him a lot too, because he was not a tall guy. He was not, he was a bulldog, but he was not a tall guy compared to a lot of these shot putters that he was going up against. And so he was the underdog a lot of times. And like, it's so funny because like a lot of people think he's mean, but like he could yell at me and I'd just laugh it off. Like there's just that connection there. And so like he would yell at me in practice and be like, you have to believe that you're the best that ever was. Like he was that person that would yell at you and he would tell you how great he is just for you to be like, that's the attitude that you need to have. And not in like a pompous way, but just in a, like, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you can do it. You're not always going to believe that you are going to do it on the day, and it's not always going to happen, but you have to have that belief within you, because if you don't, where are you coming from?
Yeah.
And so like, he taught me a lot more of the feeling part of throwing, of the mentality part of throwing. And that's always been who I've been as a thrower. And I think that's what was missing when I was in college, is it was very technical. And I lost out on a lot of that emotional, mental side of throwing that makes me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it changes how far the disc goes. I'll tell you that, And so,
bulldog.
Yeah. And that's what I've gotten back to this last year.
Awesome.
Is that, belief and that mental side, and how does it feel? Because all of that is what makes the disc go far. Your technique could look perfect, but if you don't understand the feeling of it and the like momentum and the power, and you don't have your mind right, like it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to go 50 meters over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. And
That's so good.
And if you look at your results, like your freshman year, no disrespect, but you just look like you're an average thrower, and I did want to point out that your freshman year, you set a PR in the high jump.
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember what that was?
I feel like it was, oh gosh, I'm going to be too overconfident in myself. Was it 4 feet, 10 inches?
Close.
4 feet 6.
4 feet 6.
Oh, that's embarrassing. My God. I wanted to be a high jumper so badly. I had great technique, but I was a bulldog. I was not. Once the tall girls learned technique, I was screwed. So I was like,
underneath the bar.
My gosh.
But your freshman year, you were just like, and then all of a sudden, your sophomore year, man, you're over a 11-foot PR in shot put. You go for almost 41. Discus gets up to about 130.
Yeah.
And then, in your junior year, you go the 182, and then you go the 53.5 your junior year.
Yeah.
Those are huge numbers. Huge. So with Greg, did he model your technique after somebody, or just kind of mold mold in what he saw in you, to be the bull, to just get that bulldog out of in you?
Yeah, it was a lot of reining me in. I think it was a lot of, Elena, you have all of this power. How do we rein it in? Because you could throw your body over the ring, but if you can't stop yourself with that toe board, it doesn't matter. So I think it was a lot of saying, this is who you are. This is what you have. Let's rein it in and make it go far. And yeah, I mean, I think too, like the craziest thing, a big impact on me was not just my coach, but was one of my teammates, Ronna Stone. She was a year older than me, and she threw at the University of Oregon. When I came in, she had the freshman school record, and it was 36 feet. And something in me told me that first day of practice, they said, how far do you guys want to throw this year? And I said, I want to throw 36 feet. And I looked at her, and I didn't even know her. I am not that person. I don't know what came over me, but I decided I want to go beat her record. And it was a little bit of a rocky start with us, but we very quickly realized that we were, especially in the discus, I was always a little bit more ahead of her in the shot put, but especially in the discus, we were really pushing each other. And I would not be who I am today. I would not throw nearly as far as I have thrown without her, because also neither of us even knew, like my freshman year, we heard whispers of a girl in our conference that could throw 40 feet. And when I tell you our jaws were on the ground, like there's no way that's humanly possible to throw 40 feet. There's no way. Yeah. And then we saw it, and then we started doing it. And it's like it's no wonder there's like so many places that just like, you'll see as soon as one person starts going far, and this happens now that there's social media and people hear about it, it happens more. They don't have to be at the same school as you, but you hear about someone throwing far, immediately you're going to see a rise up of people throwing far. And I remember later in high school seeing the person who I put a sort of target on their back was Sophia Rivera. And she was a javelin discus thrower out of Missouri. And she was like the top in the nation for my grade, my junior year. And every single week I would go on mile split and I would say, how far did she throw this like weekend? Because I was going to go throw further. And so very much, it's so funny because like I am not that person now, and I can't do that. If I went and picked, oh my gosh, I would destroy myself if I put that much pressure. But at that time, that I was hot, and that was what was working for me. And it was very much like I knew that we were all going to get better together.
Awesome.
I knew that like the better they do, the better I'm going to do, and the better I'm going to do, the better they're going to do. And so like to start high school thinking 40 feet was absurd and impossible. And then by the time I graduated, we had, I believe, 4 girls at one point who could throw 40 feet at our school.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And we never thought that was even possible.
And you threw 54 feet.
Yeah. I won't blame anyone if that still seems crazy, but
did you think about maybe trying to break the national record in the shot put or in the discus?
Yeah.
You're almost right there almost.
Yeah. I thought about it in shot put, and then I started seeing Raven.
Yeah.
And I started seeing Alyssa, and I said, holy shit. Yeah. I go, woo, that's crazy. I will be happy with my California state record.
Yeah.
But with discus, because I was like, I want to say it like humbly, but just as a matter of fact, I was the best.
Yeah.
By a good amount. And so looking and seeing what I really wanted, at least the California record. I do not have the California state record. I do not. I'm number 4, number 5, whatever all time. And I don't have my own state record. Also, joke's on me. I could never even win my own state championship in the discus. I was number 1 in the nation 2 years in a row. Couldn't even win my own state in discus. I was a little inconsistent. I was figuring it out, but so I couldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, the discus mark, I had my eyes set on that for sure. And I was pretty sad when I didn't get that, but.
Oh, wow. Great stuff. So tell us a little about your family. Your mother does Ironman. You have 3 sisters. Yes. Were they athletic? You said, where did the volleyball come from? Do you got a Karch cry in your bedroom wall as a you.
Oh, she's not that old.
Well, he's from Florida. I mean, he's from California.
I do know him. I do know that name. Yep, I do know that name. No, so yeah, my mom, she's always done triathlons and stuff. She, still, her and my dad are huge bike riders. So my mom doesn't do Ironmans anymore, but she does still like train for runs every now and then. And her and my dad are huge bike riders. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say either of them were like my dad. I could say my dad played football in college, but the college he played at was Dr. Martin Luther College in Wisconsin. It was basically a seminary, and they had to pull boys off of campus to go play football. So he played football. And then my mom did swim in college, but she didn't really take it too seriously until the end and stuff. And then she found out she didn't have eligibility anymore. So her real like athletic thing came later on when she was doing these Ironmans. My sisters, my older sister, she did track. She actually, she went to school at like a small NAIA school to do the multis. And then she transferred and decided not to do track anymore. My little sister did water polo in high school. She swam. Both of them did cross country. So they were both runners, not me. And then my youngest sister, she sort of dabbled in volleyball as well. And so I think for me, when I was in middle school, I was the person that had to do every single sport possible. So I was always doing 2 to 3 sports at a time. And I think that goes back to that. I'm going to be an Olympian. If I'm going to do this, I got to figure out what sport I'm good at. So middle school, I did everything. High school, I was like, okay, we got to narrow it down. I loved track. I won't say I knew I was good at track. I was good, but I think I actually also really loved it. And it was the opposite season of volleyball. So that was easy.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, you were watching some video about that medal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The gold medal program.
Yeah. Tell us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have another question after you answer this. So
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So that was my senior year. I was sort of like getting ready to go off to college, and my family moved houses, and I was packing stuff up to move and packing stuff up to go off to college. And I was like, oh my goodness, all these years of track, all these 22 meets a season, you accumulate a lot of hardware. And some of them were very special to me, and some of them were just another weekend. And so I was like, gosh, I am like hoarding all of this stuff. And it doesn't mean that much to me, but it could probably mean a lot more to somebody else. And I realized how much I had. And I was like, I want to do something with this. But I was like, instead of just doing this for me, why don't I see if other people have the same situation? Maybe other people have some stuff setting around. And so I thought, instead of just making this a me thing, let me try to sort of like grow what I'm trying to do. And I had posted a couple of posts about, hey, if you've got some medals, I want to put them together and give them away at a children's hospital. And so many people sent me medals. I got tons of stuff. I mean, I got I think even my athletic department at school had some connections, and they're like, yeah, just the conference, they've got all these leftover medals, here you go. And so I was able to put together a big box of medals and go hand them out at a children's hospital. And that was awesome. I loved that. It was just such a cool thing. And it was a great way too, to connect with the track community and give other people a chance to do that too.
Wow.
That is awesome.
So does a program still exist, or so we need, no, okay.
No, it was just a one-off thing that I did. But thankfully I had somebody, 2 years after reach out to me because they remembered that I did that and they were then doing that.
Wow.
And that was super cool. And there's another girl that it's not, definitely this one's not connected, but there was a girl who reached out to me this summer who was doing something similar with all the gear we get as college athletes. We get a lot of t-shirts, some of it's really cool and some of it's just another t-shirt. And so she's like, I'm trying to put together a box of clothes for people. And so if you have extra collegiate gear, I want to get that together. So I was able to send her a couple of shirts this summer. Just love seeing that.
Yeah.
Cool. So where's the finesse? I can't even talk. Where do you like to grow plants?
Oh.
Where's the finesse with that?
The plants?
Yes. Yes, I know. And that makes
me your what?
I'm like, she likes plants and she likes
yes.
it's
Well,
yeah, I know.
I am a serial hobbyist. I love my hobbies. And last year, I did not have a job. I was just throwing. So not only the plants, but I also got very into crochet. But yeah, the plants I was very into last year, and then they have all sort of threatened to die at me at different points in time. And so I've transitioned like all of my plants. I'll try to show you this one. I've sort of transitioned them all into water.
Okay.
And they're much more manageable in that way.
Yeah.
And so it's much easier now to just have my plants living in water. Because last year I loved being like, oh, let me try to propagate and I got to do this food and I want to do this soil mix. And I was giving them too much love. And this year I'm like, let me just let them live. You know, they're doing good. So I am proud of the plants that I've sort of brought back to life. But I am no longer buying more plants because I also have a very small apartment right now.
And what are you crocheting? Are we making blankets or what?
Yes. I am making a large variety of things. I've made blankets. I've made a sweater. I've made like some little tops for the summer. I do a lot of bags, trying to see if there's anything fun sitting right around me. So I had the day off of work yesterday and I made a little top. So I was like, oh, I got the day. Let me just but I love it. Here's one little
look at you.
bag that I've got.
Oh,
That's super cute.
It's fun. I love doing stuff with my hands. And last year when I was commuting to Berkeley every day, I took the train. So I'd be sitting on the train for like an hour and a half each way. And I brought my crochet all the time. Yep, it was great.
Look at you.
Look at you. Well, I actually throw the shot put and the discus really far and lift heavy weights when I'm crocheting.
That could be a discus. That could be a discus shot put carrier. So, all right. So your signature, I don't know if you know this, is your nose piercing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So when did that first happen? Okay. And what made you go get your nose pierced?
Oh my gosh. So I have a funny Texas connected story to this too. But first, I actually was inspired to get it from a Snapchat filter that showed the nose ring. And I said, I had that filter and I go, I think I could rock that. I think that works with my face. I was like, I kind of like it. Because of course I had thought about maybe getting a side nose piercing, but I'm like very much like, it would drive me crazy if I had one thing on one side. And so I was like, I don't know about that. And I was like, if I don't like it, there'll be a hole in my face. I was like, I don't know. But I was on vacation in New Orleans and I was like, you know what? I think I want to go do it. But I only wanted to get it if I could get this ring because this is the ring I liked. I only liked this ring. And if I was going to have to get it pierced with one of those little like bowl looking ones for it to heal, I'm like, it's not worth it. I only want it with this ring. And they told me they could do it. And so I did it. I loved it. I had asked my mom ahead of time what her opinion was of it. And she was like, oh, please, I don't know. I don't think you would like it. But I still did it. And I called her afterwards on FaceTime because I was in love with it. And I was like, look, Mom, I know you didn't want me to get it, but you got to admit it doesn't look bad. And she goes, you know how I feel about it. And I was like, oh. And my family actually convinced me to take it out for my sister's wedding that fall too. Cause they were like, it's a phase. You don't want it in the pictures, but I've never changed it, never taken it out. I love it. I mean, it's great. I also actually have a deviated septum and I've realized that like, it's kind of obvious when I don't have it in because I had to take it out recently because I was sick. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really have a deviated septum, but I guess you can't tell when I have it in. What? But the funny story is that I was at a track meet in Arkansas after I had first gotten it. And someone, I won't say her name because I don't want to embarrass her. And it's totally fine now. But this girl who I was friends with came up to me and said, oh my gosh, that's so funny you got that. Cause like, you're like the Longhorns. And so you look like a bull.
Oh, wow.
I was so hurt. Oh, I was so mad. I threw way further than her the next time. And she apologized to me and she was like, oh my gosh, I realized that probably came across so rude. I was like, it's whatever. I'll throw further, whatever. And she's a sweetheart. She's a total sweetheart. She loves me. She supports me now. It's great. But I was like, you did not just say that.
So how many years has it been in? 5?
I think I got to my sophomore year. So yeah, probably about 5 years now.
It fits you.
It does. In fact, I wouldn't know what, like, you'd be like, who is that? That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like this one and I had to take it out the other day because I was sick and I looked at myself in the mirror and I hadn't taken it out in like 4 years. And I was like, there's no way. I was putting my lip up and I'm like, there's nothing there. I was like, what is going on? But yes, it is definitely a signature now.
That's awesome. Well, I always loved it. In fact, I'm thinking about getting one. So,
well, maybe you guys can get matching ones to celebrate the 100th episode.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'm okay with one here, but
Yeah.
I think I'm too old for it now.
I'd get a big one and she'd pull it.
That's what
She'd get mad at me for sure. So, and my last question is how do you feel about being part of what seems to be the hot track and field of throwing? You know, because track and field for throwing right now, with what Ryan's doing and some of your colleagues and discus and all that, you know, throwing is becoming very, very popular. And we're seeing that at the high school level, where now we're seeing a lot of kids throw over 40 feet and a lot of young kids throw 40 feet. What's your perspective on that? And how do you feel about that, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, you can even go back and look at some of my like interviews in high school. I have always been about trying to make throwing cool for girls. You know, I have my own way of how I sort of happened upon throwing and got into it. But I always knew it was kind of odd that I was doing it. And it was kind of strange that that's what I happened upon. And I was like, I never thought throwing wasn't cool, but I was like, I want to make sure people know that throwing is cool and girls can throw and girls can be cool and throw. And so that's always been what I've tried to push. And so to see it now, and I think that social media has a lot to do with it. I'm just so stoked to be a part of it. And even up at the professional level, I mean, I think everybody secretly wants to be a thrower.
Mm-hmm.
We're all fun. We're all chill. We have a good time. And I think everyone wants a little bit to be a thrower.
Yeah. So is there any chance that, you know, if things work out, that you could go abroad and maybe throw in some diamond leagues or even some local meets in London or Europe or someplace?
I hope so. I do not currently have an agent.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's really tough to get one as a women's discus thrower because there's not a ton of money in it and there's not a lot of opportunities. So once an agent has 2 female discus throwers, they kind of got to cap it. So I'm on my own journey with that right now. But without an agent, it's pretty tricky to get a spot overseas. So I think once I have an agent, I think a lot of those doors will open, and I'd love to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Mo's kind of had some connections and maybe help with some of those meets as well.
Yeah. He's tried to get me connected to a few people. So that's been great.
That's awesome. What I just, besides throwing, I'm going to tell you, you're just a good person. And I never really realized how good a person you are, except listen to you talk for the last hour and 20 minutes. You just really, really are. And I'm going to be pulling for you. I'm going to be pulling for and I'll say this from a technical standpoint. I love how you throw. Like, you have the best flat right foot turn of the right and left foot in the middle of any collegiate high school person I've ever seen ever. And I don't know if you it, but your left foot turns the same way as it does in glide shot put as it does.
Yeah.
And your heel never collapses.
Yep.
And that's so hard to teach kids, you know, to do that. And you're my video of like, look, and I actually show you to a lot of right-handed throwers because it's very clear when you do it from a left side.
Yeah.
And so I'm so
it's different. They can see it for what it is.
Yes. Yeah. And I've always, so like your best throw, what my favorite throw of yours is, I think the second time you broke the school record at Texas relays, and you threw, and your right foot is flat as can be, and you just turn and pull the shit out of the discus, and you just kind of jump and turn like really forward. You probably know the throw I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that thing is a line drive.
Yeah.
And like 198 or something like that, maybe a little bit further. And
the line drive helps as a lefty who can often be in wind.
Yes.
Because I know I can cut that wind. If I can cut that wind, I'm safe.
Yeah, for sure. So, and just looking at your high school model, with the way you threw and the transitions you made for shot and rotational and stuff, I was always just a fan of your technical models. So, because to be in your size, to generate as much power and to throw as far as you did, how do I say this? You look like every other high school thrower there is. So if I can relate to a girl who's 5'5" and say, she looks just like you, but I'm talking about some of our.
Yeah.
Hey, she can do this, and she's your size. You know what I'm saying? And then, you fit what like almost an average high school athlete would look like, so to speak. So,
definitely. That's so awesome to hear. And I'm really glad that you're like, it's so cool to hear that you guys are using me to help, teach and show your throwers as well too. Cause that's awesome. That's a sort of legacy. And also in the end, just for you to say you're a good person, I'm like, praise Jesus. Cause that's all that matters. In the end, it's who you are as a person. You can only throw so long, and throwing's not going with you when you die. So just being able to be a good person and be around other good people is always the goal.
Yeah. Do you think you might get back into coaching when it's time to hang it up?
I don't know if I would ever do it like professionally, but I love working with people. I love helping people see the potential that they have and helping them recognize their goals and recognize their potentials and find something and go after it. And so I could totally see myself doing that.
Yeah, I could too. I could see it being a great resource for kids who are learning, whether it's throwing or any sport.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Motivational, someone who helps them reach their goals, goal setting coach, life coach, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Understand all that.
Well, tell Mo I said hello.
I will indeed.
He's another volunteer coach that I'll come and help. So
that I want to be California. I'm kind of a Texas girl.
I just want to work with Cameron Rogers and Elena, then everybody.
No.
Elena.
Crazy group out there.
I know that has to be motivating. So when you walk out there and you're like those are some big names. That training group is a very big deal.
To me, it does. My training partners are those hammer girls. Doesn't matter that they're a completely different event. We're all going for the same goals, and we're all in that grind together, And so it doesn't matter that they're not throwing the same thing as me. It's probably better for me that they're not throwing the same thing as me. And I just love it. It's a great group, and we're all out there, pushing the mark together.
Wow. Well, we wish you the best. We're going to be rooting for you. So, go get those marks for the trials, and let's make the Olympics.
Thank you so much.
And if there's everything that you need from us, just feel free to reach out. If you come back to the DFW or in Austin area, let us know about the Texas relays and stuff. So thank you so much for being on. Thank you for taking the time to be on, and appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
And God bless.
God bless, guys.
All right.
We'd like to thank Elena for being on. What a tremendous throwing career from a high school, all-time records in the shot put and the discus, to going to University of Texas, and just the trials and tribulations she's had of coaching changes. But the one thing that's very obvious, it didn't change her passion. She still loved throwing, and after coming out of the University of Texas, she found UC Berkeley, and she coached Mo, and she's there with a tremendous training group, and kind of, God has a plan for her, and he kind of put her in the right situation. And I just really feel like she's in the right frame of mind to be that bulldog that she used to be in, to go out and compete and do what she's capable of doing for sure.
Yeah.
So we wish her the best.
Yeah, she had so many great little nuggets of things to say about being uncomfortable, putting herself in those situations, finding people to compete against, how that she loved competing against, whether it was her high school throwers or college throwers, found someone she could beat, and then as they got better, she got better, and just that drive, and then that happiness, that overall joy and happiness and passion with life just keeps her moving forward and getting better. And I love how she said in the end, it's, you know, not all about throwing, it's all about being a great person, and that has in turn made her a great thrower.
Yeah.
And directed it that way.
And one thing too is
awesome.
Is she doesn't live and breathe throwing, and I think sometimes too there's a little bit of that OCD where we get obsessed with it, and I think sometimes I'm guilty of that.
He's gonna take a crochet. So
exactly, but she has that outlet of crocheting or planting, and I'm sure other hobbies as well. And I think, you know, sometimes you gotta find that outlet that's a distraction of totally opposite of what your daytime job is or normal stuff, to kind of keep everything in balance, so to speak.
Round crowds with fishes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Find a hobby to do.
For sure.
All right.
Well, thank you. We'll see you down the road.
All right, we want to thank our sponsors for season 6, episode 100. Woohoo! Again, got to figure out how to throw the confetti up here. All right, Texas Track and Field, ttfca.org. Go look at anything on there you want to know about track in the state of Texas. 4throws.com. Quality implements priced right. Use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. Porta Circle, man, it's hot in Texas right now. So if you have a cool garage or a cool place, get your Porta Circle, porta-circle.com. Use the code TalkingThrows10. If you're in the Austin area, Ready Up Athletic Development, give Zach Phillips a call at 512-507-8347, and make sure you're checking out his basic throw strength program on the Train Heroic website, and use the code THROWS10, and you get 20% off of that amazing program.
Hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your Fiber Sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new Fiber Sport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason and Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas Style.
And then we're kind of getting close to the end of a summer season here, but if you found that you like throwing, you threw some this summer, got interested in it, let us know. We're doing some great lessons moving forward in the fall for however old you are. And, you know, if you went to a few meets and like, oh, this was fun, give us a call. And then get some lifting training from Coach Hayes over here at Lifting DFW.
Yes, with the fall coming around, if you want some individual lifting sessions, or if you want me to write a program for you, I can. Just go to liftingdfw.com, and my contact information is on there. Again, thanks to everybody for the YouTube responses or views and downloads and stuff. Please share. We're really trying to get that up and going, and really kind of build a different avenue for our brand through YouTube. So please share that, and you know, the more people we can share it with, the more people that can, you know, hopefully have some positive influence in the throwing world as well.
If you had an episode you like, let us know. Reach out to us on social media, and, you know, give a shout out to Elena Bruckner.
And also, if there's anybody that you want to, if there's anybody that we haven't had on that you feel that we should, share it with us. Just reach out through social media. There's been people I've been trying to track down that I can't get a hold of that we would love to have on. So, yes.
Got dark.
It did. Thank
I
y'all.
didn't pay the electric bill. Bye.